All right, hello. My name is April Jackson, and I will be giving a report on the educational giant Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He was born on June 28th, 1712 in Switzerland, and then he later died in 1778 in France. And you might ask, why was he born in Switzerland and then died in France? This actually has a lot to do with what we're going to be talking about today. He actually had very different views than a lot of other people in the 1700s. He believed a lot in the good in people. A lot of people during that time believed that people were born bad, and in order to get them into shape, you had to whip them, and you just had to kind of be miserable and just make yourself be a good person because we're naturally bad. But Jean actually believed that we are born good and we can continue to do good. So that was really interesting to learn about. So he was a philosopher, writer, and political theorist who inspired the leaders of the French Revolution and the Romantic generation. And the reason why he actually got thrown out of Switzerland was, well, actually, he didn't get thrown out of Switzerland. He got thrown out of France because he wrote a couple books that were not really what everyone wanted to hear about. It was kind of some conflicting views of religion that no one else believed in, and so he got thrown out of France, but then later was able to go back, and that's where he died. So he was very interesting, and he was filled with very new ideas that actually changed education in our day a lot. He believed in parents being involved in the child's education, which I thought was really important because some of the points he talked about actually were how we need to teach our children to have self-worth and morality. And I think that it's essential for parents to be involved in that because I feel like morality especially is such a relative term these days and subjective that we all have different opinions on what is moral and what is not moral. And so if we're going to have different opinions about those things, we need to make sure that we guide our children through their education and teach them what is morally correct according to us, so that they aren't taught it by someone else. Education is a great opportunity to learn those things, and that was the biggest point that I believe Jean brought through, was that A, we need to make sure we have self-worth, and B, that we need to learn morality. Okay. He wrote a lot of books in his lifetime. Some were romantic novels, some were philosophical books. They were kind of all over the place, which was really interesting. But the one book that stood out the most as far as education goes, it's called Amélie, and it's about a boy basically from when he's a child up through when he's an adult, and it talks about his educational journey and everything that he experienced in that. And the cool thing about that book is it just really pounds through the Rousseau's theory or philosophy of education. So, and that philosophy of education is, I'm going to quote from the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and they said, Rousseau's philosophy of education is not geared simply at particular techniques that best ensure that the pupil will absorb information and concepts. It is better understood as a way of ensuring that the pupil's character be developed in such a way as to have a healthy sense of self-worth and morality. I haven't actually read the book Amélie, but it sounds very interesting, and I like how he mixed together philosophy and a novel, so it can be probably more of an easier read rather than just reading different theories and concepts. So hopefully one day I can get to reading that. A big way that I applied it to myself, everything that I learned about Rousseau, was that I really liked how he said that we need to teach children morality and self-worth. And I was trying to figure out how to do that because earlier I was discussing how a lot of people have different ideas of what morality is and what self-worth is. And so how can I as a teacher teach like a classroom full of 30 kids self-worth and morality when I don't really know what their parents feel about it or what they want their kids to learn. So I decided that the way I would do it is just treat the kids with respect, show them that they have self-worth, and for the morality part, I would just be a good person to them, be nice, and show them Christ-like attributes that can be applied to all people, even if they don't believe in Christ. Just being nice and being kind and being considerate and respectful of other people. I think that is the best way to do it. And so that's how I really brought it back to myself personally. And I think that one last part I just had to put into the presentation was that Jean Roseau had a very interesting perspective about gender roles, which I thought was so interesting, and it pertained to education. And he said that in children's educations, we should focus on their individual gender roles, that the man is the provider and that the woman is the wife and the mother, and that we should teach them according to those roles. And so it should be focused on that, which I thought was so cool. And obviously we can't do it in these modern times because everyone feels very differently about that, but it would be nice to be taught what you actually want to do one day. And I'm not saying that every woman has to become a wife and a mother, but for me, I feel like I always kind of gravitated towards those teachings, the teachings of becoming a better wife and a better mother, because I always knew that's what I wanted to become and to do. And so it would be cool if we could somehow incorporate that into modern day education today. Obviously we can't. Maybe if we started a private school focusing on the teachings of Roseau, but I thought that was a really interesting point and cool that he brought that up and recognized the differences in gender, because obviously we're having a lot of issues with that today in our modern society. So, yes, so that is my conclusion of Jean Jacques Roseau. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he was a very interesting man and just had a really good idea of who we are, and that we are good, and that our pupils are good, and that we should believe that even if they're going crazy and driving us nuts, just remember that they are inherently good and that they can accomplish great things. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I sure enjoyed doing this project, so thank you.